Hey everyone, and welcome. So glad you're here. We use numbers for counting things all the time, right? But have you ever stopped to think, how do we write down an opposite? Like, we can count up, but what about a number for going down or for losing something? Well, today we're going to discover a whole new world of numbers that does exactly that. Let's jump right in.
So yeah, we all know how to count. It's probably the very first thing we ever learned in math. But think about it. What happens when we need to talk about the total opposite of something? For example, how do you write down the number for making money, a profit, versus the number for losing money? Or what about a temperature that's warm, above zero, versus one that's freezing cold and below zero? That's the big question we're going to solve today. And here are some perfect real-world examples. We can talk about a profit. That's a gain. But what about a loss? We can talk about being way up high above sea level, but what about being deep down below it? See, in math, we need a really simple, really clear way to show that difference. We need one symbol for the gain side of things and a totally different symbol for the loss side. And it turns out, two signs you already know are going to come in and save the day. So what's the big solution? What's the secret? Well, it's actually beautiful and so simple. We're just going to use two little signs that I know you've seen a million times before: the plus sign and the minus sign. These two little signs are going to be our super powerful tools for showing opposites. And this, right here, is the key idea for everything we're doing today. We just make a simple rule. The plus sign, plus, is going to stand for one idea, like gaining something or going up. And the minus sign, minus, is going to stand for the exact opposite, like losing something or going down. That's it. That's the whole trick. They are perfect opposites. So when we stick a plus sign in front of a number, we create something called a positive number. Just think of positive as meaning, more or something above our starting point. Like plus 5 degrees means it's 5 degrees above zero, nice and warm. And plus $900, that means you have a profit of $900. It's a gain. Awesome. And you've probably already guessed what's next, right? When we put a minus sign in front of a number, we call that a negative number. And this just means less than or below our starting point. So, negative 5 degrees is a really cold temperature, 5 degrees below zero. Brr! A negative $500 means you had a loss of $500. It's the total opposite of a profit. See how that works? It's pretty cool. Okay, let's run through a few more examples, just to make this crystal clear. Say you're playing a game and you gain 5 points. We'd write that as plus 5. But oh no, you lose 3 points on the next turn. That's a minus 3. Thinking about time. 10 years into the future could be plus 10. And what about 5 years ago, in the past? You got it, minus 5. Now this whole new family of numbers, all the positives, all the negatives, and our buddy zero right in the middle, they have a special official name. We call them integers. So whenever you hear that word, just think positive numbers, negative numbers, and zero all hanging out together. Okay, so now we have this amazing new family of numbers. But how do we keep them organized? We can't just have them floating around. We need some way to see where they all fit together. We need a map. And in math, our map for all the integers is called the number line. Let's build this map together. It's super easy. First step, just draw a long, straight line. Done. Step 2, put a little mark right in the very middle. This is our home base. It's our starting point. We call this special spot 0, or sometimes you'll hear the fancy name, the origin. All right, from our home base at 0, let's look to the right. To the right of 0, we're going to put all of our positive numbers. Plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, and they just keep on going forever. And here is the very first super important rule of our map. Anytime you move to the right, the numbers get bigger and bigger. Now, what about the other side? You guessed it. To the left of 0, we put all the negative numbers. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and on they go. And the rule over here is the exact opposite. As you move to the left, the numbers get smaller and smaller. And just like that, our map is complete. It shows every single integer in perfect order. Okay, let's learn a new idea. It has a kind of fancy name. It's called absolute value. Now, that might sound complicated, but I promise you it is so easy. The absolute best way to understand it is to look at our number map and just ask one simple question. How far is any number from home, from our origin at 0? Let's just try an example together. Take a look at the number -3. Can you find it on our map? Now, just ask yourself, How many steps or how many jumps would it take to get from -3 all the way back home to 0? Let's count them.
Okay, ready? Starting at -3, we take 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps, we're home. It takes 3 steps, so the distance is simply 3. And here's a key thing to notice. A distance can't be negative, right? You can't walk negative steps. It's just a count of the jumps, so it's always a positive number.
And guess what? That's it. That's all absolute value is. It is just a number's distance from 0. And since distance is always positive, the absolute value of any number is always going to be positive. Well, unless the number is 0, then the distance is just 0. In math, we have a little symbol for it. We just put 2 straight lines around the number, just like you see here.
This little chart makes it super clear. Look at -5. How far is it from 0? It's 5 steps away. So we say the absolute value of -5 is 5. What about +2? Well, it's just 2 steps from 0, so its absolute value is 2. And what about poor old 0? Well, it's already home. It's 0 steps away from itself, so its absolute value is just 0. Easy, right?
All right, you are doing an amazing job. We have just one final skill to learn today. Now that we have all our integers laid out on our beautiful map, how can we tell which number is bigger than another? It's time to learn how to compare them.
Okay, I need you to listen very closely because there is one simple, powerful rule for this. This is the golden rule for comparing integers. Are you ready? Here it is. Any number on the right is always bigger than any number on its left. That's it. That is the only rule you need to remember. Okay, time to test this rule with a tricky question. Which number is bigger, -1 or -4? Now, your brain might be screaming, 4! 4 is bigger than 1. But hold on, we have to remember our new golden rule. Let's find these two numbers on our map and see what's what. Okay, let's look at our number line. Find -4. You see it way over there on the left? Good. Now, find -1. It's much closer to 0. So which of these two numbers is further to the right on our map? It's -1. Even though the number 4 seems bigger than 1, when they're both negative, -1 is actually to the right of -4. And since -1 is on the right, our golden rule tells us that -1 is greater than -4. If you think about temperature, it makes perfect sense, right? A temperature of -1 degree is definitely warmer or bigger than a super cold -4 degrees. We write this in math using the greater than symbol. I always think of it as a little alligator mouth that wants to eat the bigger number. You did fantastic work today. Seriously. Let's just do a super quick recap of everything we learned. We now know that we use plus and minus signs to show opposites. We know that this whole new family of numbers is called integers. We built our own map for them, the number line. We learned that absolute value is just a fancy name for distance from 0. And, most importantly, our golden rule. On the number line, the number on the right is always the bigger number. I want to leave you with this one thought. Numbers really are the map that we use to understand and describe our world. And today, you learned how to read a huge, new, and really important part of that map. You did an amazing job, so keep asking questions and keep exploring. Thanks so much for learning with me today.